this guy is a fucking animal. Like, he has a
again. There's no rehydration.
No rehydration clause. 245. That was the last time that he boxed Alexander Usyk, which was back in, what was that, 2022. I believe he weighed 245. He was in training camp anyway. He was going to be fighting on the under.
And he can take every punch out there, and he's, obviously they call him the judge.
Jake Paul reacts nervously to Anthony Joshua's intense training. He's a little scared, but still willing to step in and face a two-time world champion. Joshua's size, power, and experience are intimidating. Yet, Paul's determination shows he wants to prove it.
Intense, focused, locked in. He's obviously very, very tall. Looking up, my tallest opponent. My eyes are at his,
Jake Paul is nothing more than a social media performer hiding behind bravado. Every twitch, every fake pose screams fear when faced with Anthony Joshua. AJ will expose his lack of real boxing skill. And Paul's so-called self-belief is just illusion in the shadow of a true heavyweight champion.
I watched shout out to Bruce, the body language expert on YouTube.
Bruce.
He did a deep dive into the way Jake Paul was behaving, and there were a lot of little signs that he was pointing out where he was going, look, is Jake Paul nervous and aware that this is a fucking hard fight? Yes, but he actually has self-belief. Obviously, is it delusional? We believe so. But the point is in his mind, he thinks you do struggle with smaller fighters. Footwork, things like that can be an ally to me in there.
Jesus.
I just think he's mastered social media. He's been doing this since he was a child. He knows how to put on an act. He's the world's best actor.
Jake Paul is visibly terrified while watching Anthony Joshua's training. Every word he says is praise for Anthony Joshua because he knows he is outclassed and completely outmatched. Paul tries to sound confident, but his fear is clear. He has no idea how to handle a real heavyweight champion like Anthony Joshua, and his bravado is laughable. Anthony Joshua's skill, power, and dominance make Jake Paul look like a scared amateur pretending to belong in the ring.
So powerful, so skillful, relentless pressure.
Where's he from?
He's from Arizona.
U.S.
Yeah.
Jake Paul is trying to impress with his size claims, but Anthony Joshua towers over him, and the numbers tell the story. Paul's respect for old or washed-up opponents does nothing against a true heavyweight like AJ. He is scared deep down, and every excuse he makes only highlights his lack of real power or skill. Joshua's natural size and strength will turn Paul into a complete afterthought in the ring.
AJ versus Jake Paul. Do you see the size difference between do you see how fucking
He's
huge
a monster,
that guy
bro.
is?
Yeah.
6'6", 265.
That's huge, dude. That gives me so much respect for Paul though, because I was always just like, he's up fighting like all these old people, or Tyson. I mean, Tyson's still beast, but this dude fucking
old hell.
I know, but still,
This fight as a friend of Jake is like, I'm scared.
Alexander Usyk is absolutely right to call out Jake Paul because he is not a real boxer. Every second in the ring against Anthony Joshua will expose Paul as an amateur with no real understanding of boxing. AJ's Olympic pedigree and professional skill will overwhelm Paul's social media bravado. This fight is a massacre waiting to happen, and Jake Paul will have no answers when AJ systematically shows him why he does not belong in a real heavyweight contest.
Was a bit him bad and good. Last fight, it's great because Anthony is Olympic champion. Francis Ngannou, it's second fight for boxing. Listen.
Joseph Parker highlights the kind of power Jake Paul will never handle. Anthony Joshua's punches are world class, and Paul will be exposed closed from the first hard shot. Every claim of toughness Paul makes will crumble under AJ's precision and strength. He is overmatched in every possible way. And even a single clean blow will show that Paul has been wildly overestimating his own ability and luck up to this point in his social media career.
And if he lands on you, you're done. You're out. And I picked against the...
Spencer Oliver perfectly nails the reality of Jake Paul. AJ is in a completely different league, and Paul's so-called boxing experience is laughable. Anthony Joshua crushed a legitimate athlete like Francis Ngannou, and Paul has zero chance. Every claim he makes about being ready is fantasy. He's stepping into a storm without the skills to survive. AJ will make Paul look foolish, and anyone watching will see that he has no real business fighting a world-class heavyweight.
Jake Paul, that's all I can say. We saw that what Anthony Joshua had done to Francis Ngannou. He went out there and iced him in a couple of rounds. A guy coming from a different discipline, well, this kid's coming from another level. You know, white collar boxing in 2018, gone through the mill, and the only boxer really that he's actually boxed, a legitimate boxer, he got beat by, and that was in Tommy Fury.
Benavidez Sr. is warning that Jake Paul could cause an upset, but let's be honest, he is wildly overestimating Paul. Jake Paul is trembling at the thought of facing Anthony Joshua and has no real skill or experience to survive. Every attempt he makes to sound confident is laughable. Anthony Joshua will dismantle him effortlessly, and Paul's fear will be visible to everyone. He's a social media clown trying to play at being a fighter while the real heavyweight champion is already planning how to expose him from the first round.
You know, don't count him out. You know, I think that's a very dangerous fight for Jake Paul. But at the end of the day, you know, we could have a big upset, you know, but
Benavidez Sr. is warning that Jake Paul could cause an upset, but let's be honest, he is wildly overestimating Paul. Jake Paul is trembling at the thought of facing Anthony Joshua and has no real skill or experience to survive. Every attempt he makes to sound confident is laughable. Anthony Joshua will dismantle him effortlessly, and Paul's fear will be visible to everyone. He's a social media clown trying to play at being a fighter while the real heavyweight champion is already planning how to expose him from the first round.
To predict it, all I would say is Joshua is on a real high.
Piers Morgan highlights that Anthony Joshua is at the peak of confidence and momentum, and Jake Paul is trembling watching it. Paul's bravado is fake because he knows he cannot match Anthony Joshua's size, skill, or power. Every time Paul opens his mouth to praise Joshua, it is clear he is scared out of his mind. He is completely outclassed and Anthony Joshua will dominate from bell one. Paul's confidence is a fragile illusion and every fan can see he has no idea how to survive a real heavyweight fight.
Wow. My friend, but it's crazy, man. Listen, I say.
Alexander Usyk is saying that Jake Paul stepping up to fight Anthony Joshua is crazy and he is right. Paul is visibly nervous and praising Anthony Joshua because he knows he's out of his depth. Every move and word from Paul shows fear and panic. He's a social media actor pretending to be a fighter, while Anthony Joshua is a world-class champion ready to expose him. This fight will humiliate Jake Paul and show the world that no amount of bravado or YouTube fame can replace real skill, power, and experience in a heavyweight ring.
I don't think Anthony Joshua would take Jake Paul lightly in any way, shape or form, and it'd be so easy to hit. You're talking about a trained athlete.
Duke McKenzie is pointing out that Anthony Joshua will take Jake Paul seriously because he is a trained athlete. Jake Paul, on the other hand, is a wannabe who is scared out of his mind. He is praising Anthony Joshua while hiding his fear, pretending to be ready. But the truth is clear. Joshua's size, power, and precision make Paul look like a frightened amateur. Every punch Paul throws will be predictable and weak. He is completely outmatched and Anthony Joshua will dominate him effortlessly, exposing his lack of ability and total delusion.
AJ's a massive favourite. He's a natural heavyweight, two-time world champion, Olympic gold medalist. We've all seen him. He can punch, he can bang. You see what he's done to Ngannou. Jake Paul, I don't think he's had amateur experience. He's had 12 fights, I think, as a...
Anthony Joshua is laying it all out, showing his mastery, while Jake Paul trembles just watching. Paul has no real experience, no technical skill, and no idea how to survive a heavyweight bout. Every punch Joshua plans will dismantle him, and his bravado is laughable. Paul is terrified but trying to act confident while knowing Anthony Joshua is going to expose every weakness. The social media fighter is completely outmatched and pretending otherwise will not save him. Anthony Joshua is a world-class champion and Paul is a scared amateur dreaming he belongs in the ring.
Punches, and I'm going to make sure I'm going to expose him to certain tricks in boxing that he may not have seen yet, and I'm going to bring him to another school of boxing that I don't think he's been exposed to.
Eddie Hearn is making it clear that Anthony Joshua is ruthless and takes no prisoners while Jake Paul is shaking at the thought of stepping into the ring. Paul's attempts at confidence are pathetic and completely transparent. Anthony Joshua will control every exchange and make Paul look foolish from bell one. The social media star is unprepared, scared, and outclassed in every possible way. He has no plan, no technique, and his fear is obvious. Anthony Joshua will dominate the fight and show the world that Jake Paul is not a real heavyweight and has no chance of surviving against a true champion.
Dangerous night's work, and AJ will be, people say, oh, will he take it easy on it? AJ will be AJ. He don't mess around, he don't play with his food. He'll be going in there looking to take him out as soon as possible.
Spencer Oliver points out that Anthony Joshua will fight aggressively and take no risks while Jake Paul is sweating just thinking about it. Paul is scared and trying to act brave, but every move he makes shows he is completely overmatched. Anthony Joshua's pride, power, and skill will dominate him from the first round. Paul has no experience to cope with a real heavyweight champion, and his confidence is a joke. The social media fighter will be humiliated, and Anthony Joshua will show him exactly why he has no place in a real boxing ring.
To the win picking Anthony Joshua, because I know Joshua and I know him well, and he's a proud guy, and he will not want to lose any respect from this, and he knows that he's got to get this job done. So expect to see an aggressive Anthony Joshua, which is only bad for Jake Paul.
Spencer Oliver is dissecting Jake Paul's delusion as he thinks he can beat Anthony Joshua. Paul is terrified but clings to impossible fantasies about landing a lucky punch. His fear is obvious and he has no strategy, skill, or strength to threaten a world-class heavyweight champion. Anthony Joshua will expose him mercilessly while Paul flails and panics. The bravado is fake and every fan watching will see how outmatched and scared he really is. Jake Paul is a social media star, not a boxer. And Anthony Joshua is going to prove that the ring is no place for clowns like him.
I truly believe, watching the press conference yesterday, I truly believe that he believes he's going to win the fight. That he's got to just get into range, land a shot, and he'll knock Anthony.
Ben Davidson is warning about Jake Paul's safety, which is laughable because he is terrified at the thought of fighting Anthony Joshua. Paul is pretending to be tough, but his fear is obvious. He is not a real heavyweight, has no chance against a world-class champion, and will be exposed immediately. Anthony Joshua's power, skill, and experience will overwhelm him from the start. Paul is nothing more than a scared amateur hiding behind social media hype. Every fan can see that Anthony Joshua will dominate him brutally and Paul has no business in a real heavyweight ring.
Dangerous in the sense of for the health of Jake, would you say? Yeah.
Yeah, this is a sport that we love, and I think we need to protect that. And he's one of the most dangerous guys in the world to go step in a ring with. Like, you saw that with Ngannou, who was a seasoned, one of the most durable men on the planet in one of the toughest sports in combat sports.
The final showdown between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul is shaping up to be a complete mismatch and the stakes could not be higher. Anthony Joshua's size, power, Olympic pedigree, and two-time world championship experience make him a lethal force in the ring. While Jake Paul is nothing more than a terrified social media wannabe pretending to be a fighter, Paul's bravado is laughable, and every attempt to appear confident will crumble the moment Joshua lands a single clean punch. Joshua will dominate every exchange, expose all of Paul's weaknesses, and humiliate him in front of the world. The psychological advantage is clear as well because Anthony Joshua wants it more and has fought at the highest level, whereas Jake Paul is out of his depth and shaking with fear. Are you backing Anthony Joshua to completely dismantle Jake Paul? Or do you think Paul can somehow shock the world? Drop your thoughts below.